Notebook.
Jeff Howe's Longhorn Notebook.
All right, Snoop, can I get a flex for our 5 plays that made a difference in a Texas victory over TCU 32-27? The Longhorns get the win over the Horned Frogs. And this play number 2 is when we will have a cut that we didn't get to at the top of the show. But, Craig, play number 1, this one needs some discussion.
Okay.
It's the TJ Carter targeting ejection.
Yeah.
It's 3rd and 4, Texas second possession after a Jordy Sandy punt pins Texas back at the 1-yard line. TCU's up 7-3. They run a little crossing route. Jordan Whittington catches the ball, moving towards his own sideline. If you look at the way TJ Carter delivered the hit, by the letter of the law, striking someone with the crown of your helmet in, again, one of those gray areas for targeting, in the head and neck area,
right?
Define where the head and neck area is. According to the letter of the law, yes, that is targeting. But I don't think you should throw a kid out of a game for making that play. It's a bang-bang play. My thing on targeting, Craig, I know people say, could you do it like soccer and institute a card system?
Yeah, right.
You have got to give officiating crews the ability to determine malicious intent on targeting.
Flag it for a personal foul, but not targeting.
Exactly. If you want to flag it for
unnecessary
roughness, the letter of the law that says targeting, make it like the NBA has got flagrant 1, flagrant 2. It's a targeting 1. Give them the 15 yards, but don't kick the kid out of a game. I'm fine with that. But don't kick a kid out of a game for doing his best to make a play.
I have to admit to you that I had difficulty seeing that play. I had difficulty seeing plays down at the south end of the field. Anybody that saw what I tweeted and what had been on Facebook, and I wasn't complaining. I'm used to it. I've been used to it. It's been this setup since 2013. We're way up at the north end in the corner beyond the end zone.
And I'm one level below you.
Yeah. It's what Keith Moreland used to refer to as the minus 5-yard line. So we're on the corner and kind of low. So seeing across the field at that angle is difficult. And then in the first half, our monitor was only giving us the video board replay. So we weren't getting the ABC telecast.
Right.
Now, Andy Way had some ingenuity and was able to work the cable system to where we got the ABC feed in the second half on what we were told was a secret channel. So why does it need to be a secret there? But we did find it for the second half. But the first half was difficult, so I saw limited review of that. I did hear the crown of the helmet thing. I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's what it was. But then when I saw it later, I'm like, yeah, that's pushing the envelope on making that call.
And what was big about that play is it really changed the TCU secondary because they have had some injury issues. Travius Hodges-Tomlinson never played safety, had to play safety. And Juan Armstead, who Gary Patterson said after the game, and TCU people think is going to be a really good player, hadn't played yet all year, had to play. That's going to come into effect in one of our later plays coming up later in the game. But right after that, Craig, Casey Thompson runs for 41 yards on a scramble. The drive ends with a 27-yard Bijan Robinson touchdown run. It's an 8-play, 99-yard drive, aided by that penalty. But Texas takes the lead at that point, first lead of the game for the Longhorns. And at that point, if you go 3 and out right there and you punt, TCU's got all the momentum at that point, especially given their hot start with the big kickoff return, the quick touchdown. Now you're up 10-7, and you've managed that initial surge, which is huge when you're playing on the road. Play number 2, Snoop, I'll let Craig do the honors for play number 2.
And it is a handoff. Kendra Miller, it's reversed. Dropping the ball. It's loose on the turf. Longhorns pick it up. Coming up with it is Deshaun Jameson. Texas comes up with a TCU turnover. TCU was trying to get fancy. Little trickeration. And Darius Davis coming around on the reverse flat, dropped it. It was picked up by Deshaun Jameson, and the Longhorns will have the football at the TCU 23-yard line. For the record, that might be the first and probably last time I'll ever use the word trickeration. It was an ESPN-invented term. I co-opted it into that one call because that's a perfect example, by the way, when people ask me about say goodnight to this, but I don't plan it. When it happens, that was something I didn't plan. The word trickeration came out of my mouth, and after I finished the call and Rogers analyzed it, I'm like, did I really say trickeration? Yeah, okay. But that's what it was.
Right.
What they tried.
So this is at the end. This is the ensuing TCU drive after the 99-yard drive by Texas, and Zach Evans had 3, just gutted the Texas defense on a 6-yard run, a 15-yard run. Then he has a 1-yard run. Then he comes out of the game. Kendra Miller comes in, who's a back that staff actually really likes. But when we talk about games like this, Craig, coaching does matter, and coaching decisions matter. I don't know why Doug Meacham felt the need to get cute right there, because you were having success running the ball conventionally. They try the reverse, and it just blows up in their face at that point. Now, granted, you would have liked Texas to get 7 off of the turnover, but they did end up getting points. But that was, again, one of those huge momentum swings in this game in Texas.
It was puzzling, and I heard Bucky and Aaron talking about this morning, about why TCU didn't hand it to Zach Evans more. There were sequences in the game in key moments. Zach Evans wasn't on the field, and it was Kendre Miller or Amari DeMercado were on the field. And I'm like, really? And of course I remember Longhorn fans had all those questions last year at times when Bijan Robinson wasn't on the field. It was a similar type vibe that I got.
I don't know if he's on a pitch count or he was taking himself out. I don't know what the deal was, but
or whatever it was.
After a series of runs or a big run, you wouldn't see Zach Evans for a few plays.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's the TCU staff doing that, if that's him taking himself out. I said I don't know what it is, but yeah, that was
puzzling, because Bijan will go bang, 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 3-4 carries or 4 carries in 5 plays, and he'll come out 1, maybe 2 plays, and then he's right back into it. So I thought it was funny. It's strange when we didn't see on a drive Zach Evans for the rest of a sequence in the drive.
Play number 3, Craig, it's the end of a 15-play, 67-yard drive for TCU. They convert 3rd and 2 on this series. They convert a 4th and 1 on this series, but they've got 3rd and 6 from the Texas 11-yard line. And DeMarvion Overshown just stones Zach Evans after a short run. I haven't looked totally at Pro Football Focus and their numbers. Actually, I've got them right here. DeMarvion Overshown. Yeah. His grade, I don't think, accurately reflects the impact he had in this game, because I felt like, in terms of open field tackling, obviously he had the fumble recovery on the muff punt. I thought DeMarvion Overshown played one of his better games on Saturday. Like I said, if you look at PFF, some of the analytics won't tell you that, but this was a time where you needed your senior linebacker to step up in the red zone, make a play. That's one of those plays, Craig, that you look back on it and you say, okay, it's a tackle that TCU scores on the end of a long drive, but it's the end of a long drive where, again, like this Texas defense has done throughout the year, you're holding them to 3 instead of giving them 7. So at that point in the game, TCU's up 17-16 instead of 21-16.
Speaking of bogus penalties called, DeMarvion Overshown.
Okay, let's just get this out of the way, because we've gotten a lot of it on the Specs text line, 337-3776. The officiating was god-awful for both sides. And I was listening to the Baylor-Oklahoma State game on my way home.
Yeah.
Sounded like Big 12 officiating crews were just bound and determined to end their outstanding weekend with a bang, because, again, Craig, only the 3rd time I've seen it. I've seen it in a 6-man game, and you called the other one I've seen. Defensive holding uncalled on a run play.
Yep. Yeah.
And you had and it's similar to the Anthony Cook unnecessary roughness call. You had an unnecessary roughness. Spencer Sanders goes out of bounds. Everybody kind of tumbles. A Baylor player falls on him unintentionally. You get an unnecessary roughness penalty for that. So just not a great week for officiating crews in this conference. Craig, the drive that ended, it's the 12-play, 75-yard drive that ended with the Jordan Whittington touchdown catch that we heard earlier. That was the play that changed the game, because if you look at that play, Texas dials up an RPO, a run-pass option, and Casey Thompson says on his read he sees a safety one-on-one with Jordan Whittington. That safety was the Juan Armstead, the guy who hasn't played all that much. Again, TCU staff thinks he's going to be a really good player. A lot of people close to that program think he's going to be a really good player. But a one-on-one with Jordan Whittington in that situation, that's a matchup. If you're Texas, you take that all day, every day. But there were a couple of other critical plays on that drive. You had Casey Thompson early in that drive, scrambles out of a pressure, and he'd been feeling pressure all day. His passing numbers were not good. He'd been pressured all day. He was sacked a couple of times, but his ability when he had to feel pressure, spin out of it, make plays with his legs, he did that, and that was a testament to just the kind of workman-like performance he had in that game. And I believe it was also that same drive where you had that Bijan Robinson run where you're looking at it saying, okay, based on the time left and where you had the ball, it's like, okay, you don't really want to punt there, and you've got the lead. It's 3rd and 9. And I'm Chip Brown and I are talking about in the press box. I'm thinking, you know what? Because they show an empty formation, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe you run the ball and try to give yourself a 4th and 4, 4th and 3, 4th and manageable. You give it to 5, and he gets all 9, and you got a fresh set of downs. So I think that drive kind of epitomized the offense's day. And then play number 5 to wrap it up. Bijan moving the chains on 3rd and 6. Yeah. Wrapped it up, put the nail in the coffin in Texas.
And like you said, I didn't think he had it at first. One official came up and was marking the spot saying he was short, and then the other one went, no. There was enough of a lean how it went to make the difference there. Yeah.
So there are your 5 plays that made a difference in the game. Real quick, Craig, because I don't know if we'll have time to get to this today, but I do want to mention it since it's top of mind for me. Sark's decision, there are really 2 decisions he made that it's kind of one of those damned if you don't, and coaches are always going to be questioned about these kind of things. One was the decision to go for 2. The other was the decision on 4th and goal from the 1 to go for it, not to take the points. The decision to go for 2, I hate to be that guy that says I like the decision, don't like the play call, but I like the decision, don't like the play call.
Okay.
If you look at 538 and analytics sites that have done breakdowns on when it's good to go for 2, when it's not good to go for 2, the advantage you gain being up 14 instead of being up 13 right there, all the analytics tell you you're better off going for 2, trying to get a 14-point lead because your win probability increases drastically from whether you're up 12 or 13 to up 14 at that point. So I don't have a problem start going for 2. I also don't have a problem with him going for it on 4th and goal from the 1 because one of 2 things is going to happen. One, either you're going to punch it in and you're going to win the game. It gets over at that point. Or you turn over on downs, great. If the offense can go 99 yards and drive it on you, go right ahead, burn all the time you want off of the clock. And that's what they did. Texas kept everything in front of them. That's the way Pete Kwiatkowski plays defense. So if TCU was going to drive it, they weren't going to hit a big shot play. Texas was going to make them burn off as much time as humanly possible.
They got up to about their 40 before they hit a chunk play of any significance.
Yep. And it was a 13-play, 99-yard drive. Yes, it scored, but it burned 5:09 off the clock. Texas gets the ball back with about 4.5 minutes left.
Got 2 first downs, and that was it.
And it was over. So, yeah, you can second-guess that decision. I don't have a problem with it because I think it sends your message, a good message to your team. Hey, you come this far, just get that 1 more yard and go finish off a good opponent on the road and get you a win.
Yeah, and I think most of the reaction I heard was similar to what you said about the 2-point. A lot of folks liked the decision to go for it, not necessarily the play call, if only because also you're going with a patched-up offensive line at that point because Carrick, who he said, Sark said they would have to take a look at the tape, but he thought he did relatively well given the circumstances and the situation. We talked to Derek Kerstetter after the game, and it was about swinging from right tackle to left guard, and Carrick out at right tackle, and he said, "This is what you do. You just go and you do, and you help him and encourage him, and he does wherever Kerstetter's going to go to wherever, because that's probably when you say about as big a polarity change, right tackle to left guard.
It's pretty big, yeah. Especially your rules change a little bit in as much zone as they run, whether you're on the front side or the back side, especially if you're the backside guard, how much you really got to work to get to the second level to cut off any penetration and create a cutback lane.
And hindsight's always going to be 20/20 on that kind of play, whether it works, whether it doesn't work, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and it's funny, we talk about the offensive line change. Bijan Robinson said after the game, and I think this kind of encapsulates everybody. Was why does Andre Carrick not play more? I think Bijan dropped a little interesting nugget. He's like, look, when Andre knows where he's going, he's really good, but it's just get him to figure out where he's going.
Yeah.
Once you get him there, he can do it. It's just getting him.
So we
there.
all see what Kyle Flood's been working on.
Just gotta prod him a little bit.
Same thing with Hayden Connor. Just trying to get him. Those 2 guys, I think, has ramped up as much as anybody else.
Yeah. Real quick, a couple cleanup items on the text line. Some texters said, and I didn't see this, but I had a couple TCU people tell me this. They did see times where Zach Evans was tapping himself on the helmet after
so there it
a few plays to come out. So that was definitely part of it. And then some people just again, like don't have a problem with the fourth down decision. Probably would have called something other than inside zone. But again, I think that's just sending a message. You're running behind Derek Kerstetter at that point, and it's, again, sending a message to your guys, hey, just get that last yard, just knock some people off the ball, go finish off this opponent, then the game's over at that point.
And Sark talked about sending a message to his own team after the game and all that sort of stuff. Done it once. It also, I think, sends a message to future opponents that they could do it again, and then when they mass in, maybe get a little waggle or something and a play action off of it or something like that. You never know. It opens up other possibilities.
And we'll talk, because I know Sark is going to be asked about this in the news conference. In addition to Oklahoma, we need to start talking about number 5 in terms of putting him in that stratosphere of some of the most special guys to play, not just on offense, but period, at this place. Because, Craig, I think it's time. I think it's time to do that.